Okay, welcome back to Refrigeration Training Ireland. This is a quick two-part video. So this is part one of a two-part video. We're just going to quickly describe how a four-way valve works on a standard heat pump. So what we've built here is our own little training device. It's not as sophisticated as you would find in a commercial unit. We've basically tried to keep it as simple as possible, and this again is purely for demonstration purposes. This is your four-way valve here. This four-way valve essentially diverts high pressure, high temperature, superheated vapor to either your outdoor coil, if your outdoor coil is acting as the condenser, or to your indoor coil, if your indoor coil is acting as a condenser. So remember, the two heat exchangers that we're looking at, indoor coil on cooling mode absorbs the heat from the room, on heating mode rejects the heat into the room. Outdoor coil on cooling mode rejects the heat out to the outside space. On cooling mode it absorbs the heat from the outside space. Discharge from the compressor travels along here into the top of the four-way valve. This is always going to be the discharge from the compressor into the top of the four-way valve. This will never change. This is always going to be high pressure, high temperature, superheated vapor entering into the top of the four-way valve. What happens inside in the four-way valve is, in this particular mode that we're in at the moment, we're in what's known as cooling mode. Therefore, the valve is naturally sitting here to the right, allowing the discharge to enter this pipework here. So it's entering to the left-hand side of the valve as we're looking at it in the picture. That means that the discharge can continue along into the condenser itself. So what we now find is that we have typical condenser, outdoor coil. It's now on cooling mode, de-superheating zone, condensing zone in the middle, subcooling zone down along the bottom. High pressure, high temperature, subcooled liquid leaves the bottom of your outdoor coil, enters into the filter dryer. So this here is a pencil type filter dryer, and on the outlet of the filter dryer we have our capillary device fitted. So this is a capillary tube. This capillary tube is creating the pressure drop. So we're going from a high pressure, high temperature liquid to a low pressure, low temperature liquid at the outlet. That liquid continues along in the liquid line. It takes the path of least resistance, so you can see our non-return valve with the arrow pointing towards the indoor coil. The liquid travels along, enters into the indoor coil, and again what you'll find is you'll have low pressure, low temperature liquid entering into the indoor coil, travels through the coil and leaves the actual indoor coil as a low pressure, low temperature superheated vapor back along into your four-way valve, and then the four-way valve forces it out through the middle pipe here. So that is your suction pipe going all the way back to the compressor. And before I leave you, when we move on to the second part of the video, I just want to show you that typically between the outlet of your four-way valve, this is your suction pipe going back to the compressor. That's always low pressure, low temperature, superheated vapor going back. It's always suction going back to the compressor. But usually what you'll find on a commercial unit is they have a suction accumulator fitted at the outlet of this pipework. So it's fitted between this outlet point of the valve and the inlet point of the compressor. So the idea of a suction accumulator primarily is to separate any vapor and liquid and only allow vapor return back to the compressor. And also then on a commercial heat pump, you'll tend to find that these are designed in such a way that they will hold the entire charge of the heat pump as well. So it's suction accumulator on a heat pump has two roles. One primary role, separate any liquid and only allow vapor back to the actual compressor itself. Always fitted at the outlet of your four-way valve, this line here, before the inlet of your compressor. That's its primary role. And a secondary role it has is this is where when you're pumping down your heat pump, you're actually pumping it down to the suction accumulator. Unlike commercial refrigeration systems, but I won't go into that, I'll explain that on another day. But we know how commercial refrigeration systems work with high side liquid receivers. Okay, four-way valve is in cooling mode. Next we'll energize this solenoid and we'll show you then what's happening with the refrigerant. What we want to do now is switch this over to heating mode. So I have a little switch here. You can see the green indicating we're in cooling mode. I'm going to shut up for a few seconds and switch it over so that you can hear what's happening. Okay, so what essentially has happened is we've gone into heating mode as indicated by the red light here. Solenoid valve has been activated on the four-way valve. That now means that the valve is now slid over to the left-hand side of the picture. It means our hot gas discharge vapor is now being diverted through this pipework here. Remember that used to be the suction coming back, but now it's the hot gas going into the indoor coil. So again, same process as the last video. gone into the indoor coil. So it travels down, leaves the bottom of the indoor coil here as a high pressure, high temperature liquid. It can't go through this way on the non-return. It has to go through your pencil dryer, through your capillary, changes from a high pressure, high temperature liquid to a low pressure, low temperature liquid at this point here. Takes the pad of least resistance through our non-return valve, so we can see the arrow here, through the non-return valve and into the outdoor coil. It enters the outdoor coil as a low pressure, low temperature liquid, travels through the outdoor coil and converts from a low pressure, low temperature liquid to a low pressure, low temperature superheated vapor, leaves the outdoor coil as a low pressure, low temperature superheated vapor, enters back into your four-way valve, and remember then the four-way valve is in such a way that the suction can go back